Hey everybody, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence. The week begins on Monday, July the 18th, with the moon that sets the public tone in assertive, fiery Aries. It's a good sign to jumpstart the work. The new work week gives a lot of robust energy, wants to take the lead. Now, the moon will align with traveling expansive Jupiter in the early evening Pacific Daylight Time. That could also be good for just feeling good, celebrating, enjoying life, because that Aries moon can just give all that robust energy. Jupiter is all that optimism. But that's not until later in the evening. Maybe some of you will already be asleep, so they'll give you sweet dreams. On Tuesday, the moon continues in assertive, fiery Aries. But Mercury, discerning Mercury describes what you're interested in, what you're thinking about. Mercury is changing signs from more reflective, emotional, sensitive Cancer for the past several weeks until as it enters into fiery Leo. Leo wants to be more extroverted, where the Cancer, it's more of stay at home, more enjoying the family. But also the sun, the Cancer sun on Tuesday, will be in opposition or confrontation to manipulative, powerful Pluto. Now, the sun can represent authority figures, and you might have some trouble with your boss, with a parent, with any other kind of authority figure. But on the positive, Pluto's about major transformation, and the sun can point to this is the day to do a lot of soul-searching, introspection. With that Pluto, it could be a very favorable day for having a counseling session or even an astrology reading. On Wednesday, the moon continues in fiery Aries, but it's going to go void of course 7:20 a.m. to 11:24 a.m. Pacific time. The void of course, again, the moon isn't making any other aspects, so the energy is flat. Therefore, you don't want to begin any important new projects, because if you did a chart for the moment you began that project with a moon void of course, the energy would just be unproductive. But at 11:24 a.m., the moon goes from fiery Aries until more calming, steady Taurus. The moon in Taurus will be in tension with rational Mercury in the early evening, about 5-6 p.m. Pacific time. The moon is more that emotional response, can be very emotionally subjective energy, but it's in tension with rational, analytical Mercury. So this Wednesday early evening, especially on Pacific Daylight Time, there might be some misunderstandings, some miscommunications, or your own thinking. You could be very indecisive. Thursday, the moon continues in steady, grounded, practical Taurus. But around 9 a.m. to about 11 a.m. Pacific time, the moon is going to align with Mars, ambitious, assertive Mars. Now, Moon Mars could trigger some impatientness, some irritability, some upsets, but the moon's in Taurus, and Taurus will keep us more grounded, more steady. So more of the positive of that moon Mars could like motivate you to go after your goals, accomplish a lot of work activities. On Friday, the moon will continue in steady, calming Taurus, but it will go void of course from 4:45 p.m. to 10:12 p.m. Pacific time, at which point it goes into Gemini. But earlier in the day, the moon in Taurus will be in a difficult angle to limiting restricted Saturn. This will be around 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific time. That moon to the Saturn, you might be feeling emotionally isolated, disconnected, or you might just be really worrying. Now, the sun that's been in Cancer for the previous 4 weeks on July the 22nd goes into Leo till about August the 22nd. And so that overall theme of the past Cancer is more domestic oriented, more family oriented, more reflective energy. It's a water sign. Water is nurturing and creative. But the sun on the 22nd is going into Leo, exuberant, outgoing, extroverted Leo. This is where August, a lot of people from the end of July to August, especially if you're living in the northern latitudes, it's a big vacation month. And Leo rules the fifth sign of the zodiac. And the fifth sector is about fun and games and sports and playfulness and a little bit of romance. But I look to that fifth house, or the Leo energy, is ideal for parties and vacations. So that's kind of a background theme, which is why the end of the summer could be a lot of partyings and, summer if you're north of the equator. Now, on Saturday, the moon, which is now in Gemini, Taurus is very steady and focused and persevering. When the moon, which rules the public response, is in Gemini, you're like all over the place. You going into 14 different directions. You're on your phone. You're watching Netflix. You're texting. That's all that mental, restless, stimulating energies of Gemini. And it's really favorable for the weekend for socializing and communicating and just really just connecting with friends. Now, that whole day, the Mercury is going to be in harmony with Jupiter. Mercury is more the analytical, detailed part of the brain, the mind. Jupiter is all more of this expansiveness. Think of Mercury as short distance traveling and Jupiter is long distance traveling. Think Mercury is writing a book, an article, and the Jupiter is the publishing of it. And so that Mercury in harmony with Jupiter, maybe twice in a year, is ideal for traveling, for making long-range optimistic plans. Really great for being interested in learning, new education. And like I said, this could also be a very favorable day for uploading or updating your website, or publishing any articles, or publishing anything on YouTube. On Sunday, the moon continues in witty, playful, conversational Gemini, but now pleasure-seeking Venus will be in tension with Jupiter. These are the two great benefic energies of the chart. But when they're in tension, one can overindulge. There's that Venus is what you're enjoying in your desires, and that Jupiter can go over the top. You're going to be having a great time, but an example would be going on a vacation, going to a party, and eating too much, drinking too much, and really enjoying yourself, but you could overdo it. So I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.